Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this New York Library Association Friends of Library Section webinar. This is Friendly Partnerships Strengthen Communities, and this webinar is sponsored by the Friends of Library Section. Our program today will highlight some innovative connections between two public libraries and their community groups. Children's librarian Jason Poole has worked with children and families at the Webster Public Library since 2003. His special interest in comics and graphic novels have made him a frequent speaker at continuing education workshops for school and public librarians. Jason has presented at the National Comic-Cons in New York and San Diego and the annual conference of the New York Library Association. He was selected to be a judge for the 2016 Will Eisner Comic Industry Awards, the Oscars of the comic world. So welcome, Jason. Also with us is librarian Cheryl Jones, and the youth service librarian at the Ethelbert B. Crawford Library in Monticello. She also serves as the library staff liaison to the Friends of the Library. In 2019, Cheryl was the recipient of the Randall Enos Member Library Children's Program of the Year from the Ramapo Catskill Library System for her Star Wars Day Jedi Training Academy. And Cheryl is joined by Helen Rados, and she is in her second term on the Board of Trustees for the Ramapo Catskill Library System. She's a founding member of the Friends of the Ethelbert B. Crawford Public Library. 5 years ago, Helen was chosen as the library's first Friend of the Year, recognizing her many contributions to the group in a variety of leadership positions. In 2019, Helen received the FLS Daniel W. Casey Library Advocacy Award from the Friends of Library Section for her wide-ranging community service. She now serves as coordinator of this award. With that, it is my pleasure and honor to turn things over to Jason.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming out. A disclaimer, I'm brand new to this platform, so I appreciate your patience, if I don't figure out what I'm supposed to click. And also, this is my first time presenting, you heard all that stuff about presenting about comics and graphic novels. This is my first time actually presenting about BookBox. So hopefully it will go well. As was mentioned, I've been in children's services for over 17 years. I wanted to tell the story of the origins of BookBox off the bat because this is how these things always start, is with people's stories. So my colleague and I, my co-librarian at the time, and I were doing a school visit at one of the elementary schools, and a part of what we do for the visits is we take big bags full of books and we bring them and it's like, as opposed to sort of the traditional book talk where you'll talk for a minute on one or two books, we just stuff big bags full of new books, and we come and we put them all on the table, and the kids get excited, they look at them, but they're not allowed to check them out when we do our presentations. So one of the children who came up, a young girl, and was really upset that she couldn't check the books out there. And I said, well, it's okay, all these books are going to be at the library. And she said, well, I can't go to the library, my parents don't take me to the library. And I was like, well, where do you live? Thinking, I don't know, maybe she could walk over or something, maybe she didn't know where it was, maybe there's some other kind of way around it. She said, well, I live at Phillips Village. Now, Phillips Village is a here, I'll go to this. So Phillips Village is a apartment complex in, all right, I got my camera off now, so I'm gonna just get into it. In Webster, an apartment complex off of Phillips Road, New York, and it's quite some distance from the library. And I'll show you. Can you see my cursor also? Anybody?
Yes, we
Anybody
can. Yep. You can see it, Jason.
In the chat. Okay. Okay. All right. So, all right. So go back to this picture here from Just, which aggregates census information to basically show demographics, race demographics in an area. And if you look at my cursor, there is 5 Mile Line, so that's Hard Road right there. So the library is about right here. And Phillips Village is this kind of, rectangular bit right here. Now, it looks like a short distance on the map, but it's actually, a good stretch, and there's no sidewalks or anything along the way, so it's very difficult for, it's not something that a child could traverse on their own. And so I got the wheels of my mind started turning, and I thought, well, gosh, I wonder if we could bring books to Phillips Village. I did not know a lot about this place at the time, and it turns out that it is actually one of the most economically depressed areas in Webster, because the housing is combination Section 8 housing. And not only that, it is also one of the most racially diverse areas in the town of Webster. Webster, if you look back here, that purple and the sort of lavender there, that's like, if you look at the plurality map here, down here, the dark purple is 90+% white. I'm pretty sure that the last time I checked, Webster is about 92% white. But if you look at this picture here, so Phillips Village is comprised, as I showed you on this picture here. Oops, what did I do? If we go back to this here, here's the apartments, here's the road. This is sort of a north road, which kind of curves around like that, and then the two sections. So you can see here, we've got 63% white and 17% black and 14% Hispanic. And then here we've got 53% white in this other side, and that's 20% black, 19% Hispanic. So I mean, then this is like dramatically different from the demographics in the entire rest of the town of Webster. If you look at the bottom population, so we're talking over 1,000 people. And when I was doing research to do this, I was told basically that about half are kids and teens. So there are a lot of kids in this area. And the thing that's kind of unfortunate about this, because of the tree cover along the bottom here, there are people who lived in Webster for years who are not even aware that there is this huge Section 8 housing development in their own town. So it's racially diverse, it's underserved, and there are people who live in Webster who don't even really know that it exists. And as you can see, Krieger Road kind of comes up on the one side, comes down the other. So it really is kind of a very self-contained. There's kind of no other ways in or out. And so it really ends up being kind of a bubble of sorts. So this girl was like, I can't make it there. And we just looked into this possibility of having a mobile library essentially at this location. So it could accomplish, we could serve some underserved populations, some of the areas of poverty that are concentrated in the town of Webster, and also kind of establish a presence basically on the other side of town. Because anybody's welcome to come up, but as I said, it's kind of an enclave, and so we don't get a lot of people from outside there. So I'm going to go through what the program entails, and then at the end I'm going to sort of piece out who's responsible for the different parts. So we get there, we've been having it once a week on a weekday afternoon, so like a Tuesday afternoon, I think it was, and we got these signs, and we get there early and we drive up and down. As I showed you, we drive up and down, we play at various locations, along in the crossroads between the buildings. And then we go, since there we've got this is where we talk about our program, and we have a tent, and we've got books at the bottom. It's a fairly simple system, book box, literally these are the boxes down at the bottom for the books. And we have a combination of volunteers, and I typically have one assistant who is also paid. So I'm paid, and then my assistant is paid out of, actually, there's a self-contained book box budget. So we've been able to fund this. Pretty much the only money that comes from the library's budget is my salary, and the rest of it comes from volunteers, and donations from the community. So we set up the table, and then the kids start coming, and how it's organized is basically the boxes are color coded and the books are color coded. And the idea behind that is that we did not, because kids in this situation, often kids in poverty, some have, there are varying levels when it comes to their education. And the idea was, rather than say these are the books for grades kindergarten through second grade and third through fifth, we would color code the boxes and put books that were kind of a similar interest / reading level. So we might have a book in there that might be slightly higher reading level for that age level, but it could also be something that someone who maybe was not as strong of a reader would find interesting, and then might be encouraged to look through other books in that area. So the idea is to try to keep it equitable, to not make anybody feel embarrassed because they're taking books from the babies box or whatever. So it's just color coded, and we put the stickers, as you can see, on the books there, so that we can organize them when they get checked out and returned. As far as checkout goes, it's completely divorced from that. We have a collection that's completely separate from the library's collection, and the attendees don't need library cards, because oftentimes we run into situations where you've got people who've got fines in their cards or whatever. And so it's just like you come, and we have kind of an old school system. And sorry, it's a little blurry, but I really zoomed in so you could see. We use old school library cards, and we put cards in each book. And what we would do is write the name of the kid, and sometimes we could only get the first name, but they often would know where they would live. So the name of the child, and then the apartment number that they were in. And then we put them in these bundles back here. And as you can see, these rubber banded bundles here are actually cards from books that were not returned in previous years. But that's okay, because other libraries have sort of used this idea of pop-up libraries, and they will just hand out books. And I felt like I wanted there to be at least some space for the kids to, as my wife used to say about our son when he was a teenager, challenged by choice. And so we have set up a system where kids who want to take on the responsibility of keeping track of these books and returning them have the opportunity to do that. And the kids who are not able to, for whatever reason, are not going to be penalized for not bringing these books back. And we do actually send notices out at the end of each year just to make an attempt to get the books back, but we often don't get a lot back. And that's okay, because in my mind, given the source for the books, which I'll get to, these books are now in these kids' homes. And not only that, but they've got a book that's stamped with our stamps, and it's a connection to the library. So we also, as you can see, these and juice boxes. We have on the front here, hand out apples for anybody who wants them. So the snack often is a selling point, because my assistant and I, while our volunteers will check the kids out who come up to the table, my assistant and I, usually once, maybe twice, we'll get in the car and drive up and down the development, and just kind of, we've got magnets on the sides of the vehicle, and we'll just say, hey, who wants a apple and a juice box? Come check out a book box. A lot of them know about it, and they just forgot or didn't know it was today. So it's a good way to kind of get kids to come around when we have the program. And it's nice to have the volunteers who know what they're doing. And these two, especially, this is a couple, and Deb Leto is actually one of our friends. So, and she and her husband have helped us out with the program every summer for, like, I think it's 6 summers now. We started in 2014. So my colleague and I, my co-librarian at the time, and I set up the program together, and we ran it together the next year. But then, due to how job responsibilities are divided up, I have ended up pretty much taking over managing the program since 2016, that would be. And so, as I said, we have a separate budget, kind of a separate sort of staff and volunteers. And these two have been with us through the whole thing. So that's really it's really been great to have them be a part of it. And especially because this is about friends. This is something that, we her help, their help as a couple has been indispensable. And, you know, people who are in friends groups tend to be more reliable. I mean, well, I can speak for my friends group. We have an amazing friends group at Webster, like amazing, supportive, reliable, dedicated, committed. So I know it's not the same for everybody, but if you're, I would say that probably more than just a person who's coming in off the street is going to, a friend is going to be more reliable. So I'm really grateful that it is one of our friends that has committed to help out with the checking out the kids. And the books. You know, we won, this was, so again, just here's another shot, particularly hot day, we brought like ices there, and just to kind of show you that it really, you can see in the pictures just the diversity. And then this woman here too, she's a reporter for the Democratic Chronicle, and these pictures are from all across all the years. And we got a really great write-up in the Democrat and Chronicle, which was really exciting, and you know, kind of brought some more attention to the program. So this is kind of see the whole tent, and you'll probably notice on the side, you'll be like, oh, well, what are these guys doing over here? Well, we started off with the books, and then when people heard about the program, this gentleman here, Kevin, said, oh, well, I've got a therapy dog. Could I bring my therapy dog? And we were like, well, sure, why not? And so for several years, he's brought his therapy dog, Maggie, to the program, and the kids love she's a real gentle soul, and the kids love coming and petting her. And so we kind of, the wheels sort of started to spin, and the idea was like, well, you know, what else can we do? You know, can we do more than just the books? And so we have this therapy dog here, and then in 2019, bringing yard games and some balls and things, and so the kids will hang out for a little while, and we have volunteers who will play games with them and throw a ball around. And so the idea is, because a lot of these kids are they've got, you know, there are a lot of immigrant families, kids whose parents are whose parents English is not their, you know what I'm trying to say, English is not their first language, and some of the kids even actually are English as a second language speakers. And so, and incidentally, we actually had 2019 was the first year that we were able to use the Webster Central School District's translation services, and we had flyers that we made out in, I think, 5 different languages. So Spanish, Ukrainian, Russian, Tunisian, and there's one more, I can't think of it offhand. But I mean, this is, and I handed out flyers in all of the languages, so it's really a very diverse crowd, and it was really exciting to be able to offer to people to give that information to the residents. Phillips Village is like a for-profit organization, so it's been great that they were able to let us use the space and also put information about the program in their flyer that comes out monthly. So now, how does all this happen? As you can see, one of the things that I love the most about this program is how so much of the community is involved in making it happen. So we have Phillips Village that obviously owns the property and is the manager, and they've been very supportive of the program and give us a lot of space and a lot of leeway to kind of set up shop and, you know, do it the way that we feel like is done best. And of course, we check in with them before making a decision. And sadly, we were planning on expanding to 2 days a week in the summer of 2020, but the pandemic happened, so we weren't able to do that. I have not found out yet whether or not they're going to let us do it this summer. So I'm fingers crossed, but I feel like just trying to getting back into it, I'm not quite ready to do the 2 weeks. So hopefully maybe the summer after that. We are primarily funded by well, I'll get to the United Church of Christ. So Hagedorn Supermarket donates the apples and the juice boxes. The school district has let us use their translation services, and also we have had teachers come and volunteer and they also have sent emails out to, because they were able to kind of target the kids who live in Phillips Village and send emails out to the students before the end of the school year. On the last couple of weeks of school, we'll go out and hand out flyers to the kids getting off the buses. So I've had volunteers and stationed them at different points along the development, and just we handed out like flyers and Smarties, just telling kids, hey, we're coming, we're coming. And the last year that we did this, 2019, a lot of kids were just really excited. Oh yeah, BookBox, I remember, so it's really cool because we've been there long enough that we've sort of established a presence. The first year that we did it, we got the Harold Hackler grant, and then we were able to buy some furniture and equipment, like the dollies we used to carry the boxes and the cabinets for that we hold the collection. Webster Community Chest paid for the signs that we got. We had FoodLink come one year. It was kind of an experiment where we had actually, like, we were giving out full meal, but it didn't quite work, and the numbers weren't quite what they needed to be for them to justify the expense of coming out there. But that was kind of a step towards us settling on the juice box and apple thing, which has been very, very popular. And as I said, the friends help tremendously because we get money every year. All right, I'll get to the friends. So the United Church of Christ puts on a concert series every summer, and we were approached when they heard about our program. And typically this is kind of a one-off sort of a thing that they do, but they have kept us on for every single year. And you can see there's a crowd there. We usually take in donations anywhere from like $700 to $1,000 at this event, and that's kind of what we use to do the program. The part-time staff person out of that, and we buy some books, but we can't buy all the books. And that's where the friends come in, is that in addition to volunteering for us, the friends have just let us, have kind of free reign in their donated books. The books that they normally sell for the book sale, they've let us come in and just take whatever we need for BookBox. So I would say that probably 85% of the books that we use for the BookBox program have come from the friends. And so that's been a huge way that they've been able to support what we're doing. But as I said, it really is a community effort, and that's part of what's so exciting for me about it. And of course, the potential has to do with the potential for the program to be applied in other places. We've talked about the possibility of expansion. As I mentioned, I wanted to go to 2 days a week last summer, but we have to kind of step back a couple of steps because of the pandemic. But hopefully, if we can have the staffing support for it, it would be great, because there are a couple of other pockets of poverty in Webster, which I think is something that I would say is pretty common in the suburbs. Is there are these sort of little hidden pockets of need that people either don't know about or don't talk about, in otherwise wealthy suburbs. And so I think discovering this, and it's been very exciting for me, particularly because of my passion for underserved populations, to be able to add that to what I'm able to do at the library as well, with the wealthier residents of the town. Inclusivity, of course, because this is, we have our most diverse populations in some of these lower income areas. And then, of course, literacy is something that we are trying to, that's one of our primary objectives as librarians. And this is a way that we really can bring books and opportunities for literacy, and not just that, but connection too, to these kids who, a lot of them don't have the opportunity to come to the building itself. And so, of course, this is why we do what we do. It's one of our younger visitors with a board book, yeah. So I guess that's all I got to say, and hopefully I haven't gone over what I'm supposed to talk about.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and hand things off to Cheryl.
My microphone. All right, I think we got everything. Can you guys hear us okay? We both have masks on.
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay, great. Good. She's vaccinated. I'm not yet. Still waiting my turn.
I'm fully vaccinated. All is good.
So we talked a little bit about what we wanted to talk about exactly in this and whether we wanted to go the same way as Jason and talk about one thing, or whether we wanted to go a little more general and just talk about a lot of the different things that we do that your friends group may not have thought of. So that's the way we ended up going with this, is just to kind of give you a lot of ideas, a little depth on a lot of different ideas that we've done. So I think I can skip our first two screens because Jeremy did a great job telling everybody who we are. But that's Helen.
My pre-COVID hair.
Accepting her FLS award. And there's me. Anxiously waiting to travel the globe again. So our friends group is obviously beautiful, as you can see from the picture there. They're lovely humans. We are very isolated community in that it's just a small community. There's not a lot of opportunities for us to market to a lot of people at once. There's not a lot of radio broadcast. There's not a lot of TV broadcast type things. So we've had to sort of go out of the box with our partnerships. And that is what we kind of want to talk to you about, is the ways that we've done that.
So some of the partnerships that we have, we were approached by the Boy Scouts. There was someone who was looking for an Eagle Scout project. So we said, sure, we'd love to have a little free library. And this young man, Alex, built and put up the little free library and got his Eagle Scout. We partner with local gardening organizations, the Friends of the Garden and Sullivan Renaissance, which is a community organization in Sullivan County that's there to beautify the county. And we've gotten grants and interns and people helping us volunteer for our landscaping projects. The local printer in the town has printed our journals for free, which is wonderful because then it's all pure profit. And they also print things like tickets and flyers and things like that at a discount. We partnered with local coffee shops and breweries to do different kind of events, and with our local bed and breakfast to do a fundraiser for us, which was a tea fundraiser.
Just lots of different places within the community that we didn't initially think of, but that came up in some sort of conversation and wound up being really great partners. If you haven't reached out to these people in your community, highly recommend. So our issue, like I said before, is that we don't have wide-reaching media outlets. So we've had to be very creative with these opportunities. So these are just some tips that we have for you guys if you're facing any of these similar challenges. We really tailor materials that we take to these events that I'm going to talk about coming up to that population. So if Helen is taking a couple of friends members and going to a farmer's market, then we're going to send things that are specifically tailored to the population that might go spend most of their time at the farmer's market.
One of the things I really hate is being called the best kept secret in the community. I don't want to be a secret. So our point is to get out there and get ourselves known.
And some of the ways that we do that are, we call them tabling events. I'm not sure if that's like a industry standard term or anything, but where we have a table as pictured here. And again, the things that we offer at those tables are tailored to whatever the event is. So we have Halloween tables where we're obviously giving out candy and library materials, or a craft table at a local book festival where we did, what did we do that? I don't even remember what we did, but it was some kind of craft for kids. The bagel festival is big around here, and we made bagel bird feeders. These are all things that they're getting information about the Friends. The Friends are very visible and clearly a part of the community, but we're not raking in the money from it. We're not trying to charge anyone for anything. at
And if
these
there's
sorts.
any opportunities like a town festival or something like that, we'll set up there if they're in our library district.
Continuing on that, so some other things we've just done, I think I mentioned the farmers market story times. Those have been really popular in the past. We just sit with a table of book sale books and then do a little story time every now and then, every other hour or so. Sometimes we've taken a craft for that too, and information on all of the library's offerings for children. And so just like I said before, tailoring our materials to the event that we're doing. And then there's just some other ways we've gotten our names out here. The Friends have sponsored a story walk, which I'm not sure if everybody knows about that, but it's a trademarked thing, hence the little trademark symbol, but that we set up in our community and encourage people to go. And on the jalapeno bagels picture here, I don't think you can see it, but the Friends logo is down here, and it just gets the Friends name out. And talk about the story garden.
Yeah, we have Vera B. Williams, who wrote
Chair for My Mother.
A Chair for My Mother, thank you.
You're welcome.
Lived in Sullivan County, and we thought it would be great. She did some programs in the Monticello School District, of which we are associated with. And we thought it would be great to have her as a literary landmark at our library. So we approached United for Libraries, who does the literary landmarks, and we got accepted as Vera's story garden. So we have a big chair there that looks like the chair in A Chair for My Mother, and some stools all around it, and we have story times there, and it's really a lovely little spot. There's a garden around it, and it's nice.
It's interesting that they're nationally recognized for that, the Friends now. If you go on the website for Vera Story Garden, I linked here, and I think there's a way we can send this presentation out. The Friends are listed as a sponsor for that, and they're also continuing the work with this Vera Story Garden thing to possibly get a postage stamp released in Vera B. Williams's honor. She was a Newbery honoree, and I believe it was 1992. Don't quote me on that number. But just some other community engagement things. This is important, and I wanted to note these are things that we, like I mentioned, have no expectation of making any money off of. And I think there's so few things left that we can do with kids or with really anyone in the population where there's not some expectation of money changing hands. And so we want to make sure that we're still hosting events that kids can go to, that families can go to, regardless of economic status, that everybody can have a good time. So just recently we've done this upcycled roof tile project where roof tiles from our old building were painted by members of the community, and those are up on a wall in our green space. I don't remember. I wasn't here for the sneak peek.
We had a sneak peek. So when the new library was built, we had a membership drive for friends that if you were a friend, you can get a sneak peek into what the new library looked like. So it was like a first viewing of the library. And everybody was very excited because we went from a very small building to a much larger building, a much more modern with an elevator and everything. And it was good.
The Friends also host these quarterly, like seasonal children's programs that are just an absolute blast. They're the one where the face painting here is a fall fun day. The one on the bottom is a winter fun day that had an absolute massive turnout that we were not expecting, but it ended up being a huge blast for everyone. And the top one is from a banned books reading that the Friends sponsored, where people from the community came and read passages out of their favorite banned books to celebrate Banned Books Week. And then this last giant Mickey Mouse thing is it's sort of a public good thing that the Friends helped.
It was a clock that was on Broadway in Monticello, which the street that we're on is Broadway of Monticello. And the clock was there. It was in disrepair for a while, and we got it fixed, and now it's up at the library.
Yep, that's our landmark. We tell everyone, if you can find the Mickey clock, you can find the library. Yep, so it's just important to note that not everything has to be a fundraiser, and it's important to just get our name out there as much as possible for us. And
These are some fun.
These are some fundraising ideas. Just because not everything is a fundraiser doesn't mean we don't need some of it. So currently we have this one called Pave the Way going on, where people are purchasing pavers to line an area of our new green space outside. If you have that kind of space, that has been a really good one for us. You want to talk about Lilydale?
Lilydale was a trip that we sponsored. If you're familiar with Lilydale, it's a village of psychics. So we sponsored a trip through one of the travel companies in the county, and we made money on each ticket that was purchased for the trip to Lilydale, and it was very successful. We had a very nice time there.
The Taste of Sullivan County is something that I would recommend to anyone to try doing. It's very cool. The Friends, these people that run our Friends group are relentless with getting people to donate. So every restaurant that they can get their claws in really gives us a gift certificate. And then we raffle off collections of gift certificates so people can taste Sullivan County.
And we went outside of our library district. We did the entire county. We were all over the place.
That one has always been a lot of fun. And the businesses that participate also receive a window cling that I cannot seem to find to show you right now, that says that they support the Friends of the Library, and it has the logo on it and everything. So they are visible as supporters as well. The Holiday Cookie Bake-Off, again, something I would recommend. That's that bottom picture that is just a packed community room for us. This was very cool because we involved children, adults, people that were teachers at the local college, kind of local celebrities, and legislators were judges, and people signed up to bring their favorite holiday cookie that they make. You know, everyone thinks their holiday cookie is the very best. So we gave everyone the opportunity to prove it. And the Friends stood and handed out cookies to everybody as they came in. And it was a wonderful fundraising opportunity, but also a really cool opportunity for the whole community to come together and have a holiday.
We also sold recipe books of all the cookie recipes.
Yes, I forgot about that. I have one. We had these recipe books made to share, and there's a recipe for everything that was included in the day. So yeah, those were, I don't know, $5, $7, something like that we sold them for, and those brought in a decent amount of money too.
And the chair auction, when we moved out of the old library, or in the process of moving out, there's a lot of old furniture in there. And we said, what are we going to do with this stuff? So we created a chair auction. We had local artists paint chairs with their own individual designs, and then auctioned off the chairs. They were, the chairs were shown on our website so people can get an idea of what was being auctioned off. And Vera Williams was one of the artists who painted a chair. I think that's her chair there. Mm-hmm. And it was a great fundraiser. People came just to bid on the chairs.
So with these, we were partnering from everyone from this author illustrator to community, a community college, to local legislators, just many different types of partnerships for us to just kind of go outside the box a little bit. And the last thing that I wanted to touch on as far as bringing our community together was our Friend of the Year award. And Jeremy mentioned at the beginning that Helen won that 5 years ago now or so, I believe.
Yeah.
That's her down in the corner here. So that award is presented by the library's Board of Trustees annually, and because it's publicized throughout our whole community and all of our news outlets and everything that goes out from the library to our patrons, everyone is involved, everyone is invited, and it's a good way to get the information about the Friends out that night too. So some of our past recipients all here, but
wearing our shirt.
Yes, it's good visibility. And the last thing was that we just wanted to talk about. I know a lot of Friends have the same issue that we do in engaging volunteers. Sometimes it's, for us at least, it's the same people that volunteer over and over and over again. So we have tried to combat that a little bit by putting in our brochure for membership, letting people tell us what they want to help with. And then I keep, as the Friends liaison, a list of different of those things. Like the people that want to participate in book sales, I have a separate email list for them. So when we have a book sale coming up, it's easy to just shoot off an email, say this is the time, who can help with that. So that was something I wanted to recommend if you're not already doing, to keep separate email lists. It helps increase engagement in those specified areas that you have on your brochure. So I know we kind of went through this very quickly, but if anyone has any questions, both of our emails are here. We are happy to help you in any way that we can, as is the Friends sort of deal here.
And I have to say, as president of the Friends, we could not do what we're doing without the support of the library itself. Cheryl is wonderful. Mary
Thank you.
Page is our director, is wonderful. The trustees are great. It's really a nice connection that we have together.
Excellent. Thank you both so much. So many great ideas in there. I'm going to click the button and invite Jason to turn his webcam back on. While that's coming online, I invite you all to add any questions that you might have in the chat. Got one that I can field right off the bat while everybody else is finding where that box is and typing their questions in. For Cheryl and Helen, we had a question. If you could talk just a little bit about the criteria for your Friend of the Year award. And you're muted again.
Yep. Okay. Go ahead.
It's given by the trustees, so they decide who gets to be the Friend of the Year. I think it has to do with involvement in the Friends group.
Yeah, neither of us are trustees, so that's an industry secret for them. I'm not sure what exactly they look at, but I'm sure that it has to do with involvement and participation in Friends events.
And this year has been a challenge, of course, because of the pandemic and so on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I have a question for Jason. You'd mentioned about getting some of the donations, the apples and the juice boxes and that. Were there any either a formal agreement or was there any expectation of some sort of documentation for the donation from your partners?
Well, I guess it depends on which partner. If you're talking about the Hagedorns, I talked to the woman who's in charge. It's a locally owned grocery store. So pretty much the woman who's in charge was like, yeah, do this thing and tell them it's this thing, and then that was the end of it. As far as the concerts, I mean, that's not, yeah, I guess I would say there's not, we have like a separate kind of pot that we put the book box money into, but it's not like there's not really any I mean, like nothing official, you know what I'm saying? Like the spreadsheet is in our, area there where everybody can see it and all the expenses are kind of delineated, but it's not like they get after us or whatever to prove that we're using it. We've made a commitment and we kind of keep to our word about it. Is that what you're asking, or?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's perfect. Maybe a question for all three of you. You got representation across some pretty outstanding Friends groups. Are you aware of a formal memorandum of understanding or partnership agreement between the library as an entity and the Friends group?
I think we have one, but I'm not positive about it.
All right. And I see Cheryl and Helen.
We're both looking at each other like, no, I don't think we have that. Should we pull out our documents and see if we
Well, I unfortunately in my seat hear I hear the horror stories of the world. So, it's one of those things that's isn't needed until it's needed.
Okay, let's look into that. Set up a committee for that.
There was something that I forgot to mention. It was kind of a sort of a corollary. It wasn't like officially part of the book box program, but we did for a time have a little free library that we erected on the corner of the lot where we set up for book box. So there's a connection between the two, and the Friends did actually keep that Little Free Library restocked. However, unfortunately, it was vandalized. So, you know, it only lasted a couple of years, but that was another way that the Friends were sort of involved, you know, and again, it wasn't like we didn't have the book box, people didn't specifically have anything to do with that, but it was put where it was to kind of establish a connection and sort of the idea was to have sort of a year-long presence there. So when people would see it, they'd think of the library, they'd think of book box. That was kind of the idea behind it. But, you know, as I said, it was sadly vandalized. And so, you know, we didn't put up another one after that, but the Friends kept it restocked and, you know, and were, you know, pretty faithful about bringing stuff out there, bringing books out there to put in there.
And we've gone to like Walmart and the local supermarket and to other food places. If we go in with a letter on letterhead asking for a donation, they'll usually give us a gift card that we could use either as a prize or to buy things for our friends' events.
Yeah, that's one we forgot to mention.
Yeah, no, I've run into that as well. That some of the supermarket chains are kind of fond of like, yep, here's a gift card, and there you go.
Yeah,
Excellent.
it's helpful if we need to buy paper plates or something or whatever we need for a program.
Sure thing. All right, well, I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat, but I thank all three of you for the fantastic information and sharing this afternoon, and remind everyone that this is brought to you by the Friends of Library section of the New York Library Association, and please do keep an eye on nyla.org/FLS for updates and more information about the Friends of Library section and other ways and information that they have to help support your efforts as friends in supporting your libraries. So again, thanks everybody. Have a wonderful afternoon and take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.